Hey there, my name is Deanza, and I'm one of the co-founders at Linc International. And I'm here today with my fellow co-founders, Karen Brown and Joyce Green. And we're excited to be here with you today because we want to kind of start a conversation around something that we're all doing right now during this pandemic, and that is teleconferencing and communication across lots of different platforms and using the internet. And one of the things that we thought would be really helpful and meaningful as we're all kind of on this sharp learning curve together is the fact that the three of us, as the co-founders of Linc International, have actually been doing teleconferencing in all of our preparations and everything that we've developed to start Linc International for the last 2 years. And so in that time, we've learned so many different things. We've had to brainstorm different challenges that we've come across during that time. And so it's just been, we're so grateful that we have these tools. And we also know that there are some challenges and sometimes some barriers to it. And always having conversations around this can be really helpful for our communities and our organizations. And so I want to welcome Karen and Joyce also to this conversation. Joyce and Karen, do you want to say a few things? Just introduce yourselves and say where you are right now. I'm in Seattle, Washington. So where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. And actually I feel like our teleconferencing has been our normal. I don't think the three of us have been in the same room maybe just a handful of times, and most of our relationship is actually through video conferencing. So I don't know any other way with you ladies.
That's true. It's really true. It's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I'm Karen, and I'm in Florida. And so, so our video teleconferencing has been critical in us doing what we have done and the things that we're still doing. Because like Joyce said, with us being so far apart, the only way that we can do what we do and work at what we're doing is by video teleconferencing. And again, I thank you, Deanza, for bringing us together to talk about this, because I think for a while we just started taking it for granted that this is how we meet.
Absolutely. Yeah, being in different states and across different time zones.
Yes.
This has been so critical, like you said, to us being able to, develop Linc and to roll out lots of different projects and continue communication and connections with one another.
Right.
So I want to get the ball rolling by just asking us to kind of talk through what do you think has been beneficial to us? I mean, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, maybe sharing a little bit more. What has been really beneficial for us as a team to be able to use these platforms like Zoom and GoToMeeting in the work that we've been doing?
Well, I love the flexibility that we can meet even though we're so far apart from each other, but we could also invite other partners all around the world. And so time and space is not really that much of an issue because we have this platform where we can collaborate and have meetings with people all over. That's been a huge benefit.
Yeah, right. The flexibility. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I would also add that, although we can talk on the telephone, it's a bit different because face-to-face communication is so important. When we talk on the telephone, even though it's real time, when you're able to see the person that you're talking to, for me, it makes a difference, and it creates collaboration. It creates a sense of we're actually there in the room together, which is different when you're talking to someone on the phone. They can be so distracted and just kind of answer but when you're face to face with someone and you can see the body language, you can see the facial expressions, and it really makes a huge difference in the communication and the communication style. So I really appreciate having this opportunity and this technology that's available for us, because I think if we had to text and email and talk on the telephone, the dynamics would be different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think being able to see each other's faces, like you were saying, I mean, we get to learn so much about each other by
Right.
being able to see each other's faces. So much of communication happens non-verbally, and like even
Yeah.
what we're saying with our faces. So it's a wonderful tool in that way, and it does allow us to kind of transcend time and space
Hmm.
in that way too, which, like you said, Karen, makes us feel like we're in the same room together, even though we're operating in different time zones and in different states and things. And that's really important. I think for any organization, relationship building is key
Yes.
to developing a strong foundation. And yeah, we could do that by phone, but there's something really important about also being able to see each other, because it does give us that sense of connection to one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, we're in three different environments and we can share that with each other. So I can show you my beautiful sunny California skies and you can show me your your rainy Seattle and Karen's Florida hurricanes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it's sunny. It's very sunny there too.
It is. It is. And it's so, I know you're going to get to this, but we recently had a situation that Joyce and I were on a Zoom webinar, and um, I got a hurricane warning notice that said, take shelter now. And so I text and said, if I um, leave the meeting, don't think that I'm being disrespectful. I just got this take shelter now notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I didn't have to do it immediately. And so it passed. But the webinar continued.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to finish what we were doing and complete the recording, and really hear what was being said and shared and transferred throughout all who were on the call and on the Zoom. So that again is another benefit.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's going on in my area, we can still communicate and still conduct business through these platforms.
Absolutely. It's an incredible tool. So that's a great segue in talking a little bit about what we've learned, some of the challenges to be in using some of these platforms as well. And I was curious as to what your thoughts were relating to some of the challenges that we've come across.
Well, definitely. I think, Deanza, you and I are in the same time zone, but Karen, you're in a different time zone. And so sometimes it's been really important for us to clarify what time zone are we talking about? Are we talking about Pacific time? Are we talking about Central time?
Right.
And so whenever we schedule these meetings, it's important to identify what time zone so that it's clearly stated.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think you were mentioning earlier when we were talking prior to recording this, just the learning curve of what it means to be on these platforms. And like, the truth is sometimes internet isn't always stable and we get disconnected. And so we've had to develop plans for like, okay, if we get disconnected, here's another way in which we can connect with each other if our call gets disconnected, or we call back into this link, or we have kind of like a protocol or a plan of how to do that so that we can stay connected and continue the flow of our meeting and things. But yeah, that can be kind of sometimes an interruption that can kind of break up the flow of our conversations and things.
Right.
Yeah, and even the assumption of reliable Wi-Fi, right? Some countries don't have reliable Wi-Fi, or there's a lot of limitations.
Absolutely.
in that. So planning ahead in ensuring that everybody has access. And sometimes there's limitations in the types of equipment that we have access to. So depending on what's going on in the environment, there may not be access to a quiet place or
Right.
a place where we can use even our webcams. And so sometimes we've had to meet where you don't show your camera, right?
Yeah.
But we're able to still talk using audio and chat. So that's also other ways to work around that.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then to just the learning curve, like you were saying, Deanza, of how to use the Zoom or how to use the platform. You know, where do you click to open up your webcam? If you want to mute yourself, where do you click to mute yourself or unmute yourself? Or just learning what the platform is capable of doing, and how do you bring additional people in? So there's three of us on now. How do we invite another person in during the process, right? So we kind of have to learn how to invite people prior to the conversation starting. If at the time that we're all in, we decide, oh wow, let's call someone else to join this conversation. How do we do that? So just learning what the capabilities of the platform is and how to navigate through that can be challenging as well.
Yeah. And developing some preparation plans around all
Yes.
that as well has been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You both were talking a little earlier before we pushed record about some of the challenges with like hacking and Zoom bombing and some of these things. I'd love to hear what like some of those challenges can look like and how we can kind of get around some of those challenges as well.
Yeah, thankfully I've never experienced Zoom bombing, but I guess it's a thing.
Yeah.
And but I think that Zoom and other platforms have created security measures like ensuring passwords, ensuring that we have a waiting room where the host can invite people in, so not just anybody can join in on the meeting
Right.
or on the call, but you have to be invited in or ushered in. So accessing those security measures, I think, could prevent some of those hacks.
Right. Right. And then there's another thing that we do with one of my other organizations is that it's a kind of a dual step. So you register for the Zoom meeting and you move into one forum, and in that forum they will then give you the link to the Zoom address. So they are kind of gatekeepers in this forum.
Yeah.
And if you're not eligible or you don't meet the criteria of entering that Zoom space, you won't even get the link to log in. So there are ways to support and to increase security for these social media platforms. We just, again, these are things that we have to know that are available,
Yeah,
and then take advantage of those.
absolutely. In closing, I'd love to hear maybe each of us can go around and share maybe a tip that we want to share with others that might be helpful in their own process of utilizing these tools and things.
I would recommend that, be mindful of your own comfort level with technology, and be aware of other people's comfort level with technology, and be patient. Be patient with yourself. Not everybody's comfortable with being on camera. That takes some getting used to. So I think when you facilitate a meeting, allow for different types of learners and different types of comfort levels to participate. Not everybody has to be on camera. They could utilize the chat room or the chat box, or even have opportunities to speak through the audio.
I agree, and I concur. I would also add practice.
Hmm.
prior to you, conducting your Zoom meeting or your go-to meeting, practice. Get with those that are going to be on, and go through, um, walk through it, and explain, hey, here's what's going to happen, here how this works, so that they can get more comfortable with being on camera, with understanding the process of what's happening. And I think that really, really will give, everyone who's going to be on camera or even off camera, it will give them a warm fuzzy about how this works.
Absolutely. That's a helpful tip. I would say this is a cross-cultural tip that I've been thinking about, is that we all learn differently and we all receive information differently. And so, one of the things that we always encourage in Linc International in our studies around international psychology is how we continue to create more pathways for communication across different cultural ideas and ways of thinking and communicating. And so we can do that even in a Zoom platform or on a
Yeah.
GoToMeeting by giving everybody the opportunity to share the ways that they learn and what's meaningful to them and what's meaningful to them in terms of how we're connecting over these kinds of platforms. So
Yes.
giving everybody space to be able to express those meaningful ways of connecting can really help to build a strong foundation in our teams, especially as we're transitioning to this kind of different way of communication.
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation today, and I'm so thankful for you ladies for getting on the call with me today and getting this information out to others that are learning about what it's like to work on these platforms. And we'll be doing more videos like this on lots of different topics, so stay tuned. And have a lovely day.
Stay safe.
Always good to see you, ladies.
All right.